Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. If you haven't been here before, my name is Julie. I have a background in mental health, both professionally as well as personally. Although this is going to be a music related video, I am going to touch on aspects of mental health. Bear with me, this is my first review of an album. I am not well versed in analyzing music, so I'm not going to get too technical besides delving into lyrics and providing you with my opinion regarding this album. All Time Low released a new album today entitled Wake Up Sunshine. There are 15 tracks on the album. It's about 46 minutes long. So I'm gonna go track by track and give you my thoughts on each track, and then at the end I will give you my thoughts overall on the album as a whole. Track number 1 is Some Kind of Disaster. Now, this was a single that was released prior to the release of the album, and I've had a lot of time to listen to it. I thoroughly enjoy it. I think it's an amazing song to start the album with because it's high energy and it's angsty and it just has everything in it that All Time Low stands for. I love that although this album has some more pop leaning songs, they don't go too far into it and they have an alternative feel. Lyrics that stand out to me in this song are in verse 2. I crashed down from a high that felt so real. I never knew how much it would hurt to feel. You gotta hurt sometimes to learn to heal. You gotta get back up and learn to deal. This is where the mental health perspective comes in. You truly do, unfortunately, need to go through painful events and situations in life in order to heal from them and grow as a person and learn how to cope better. And even though Alex is saying you gotta get back up and learn to deal, I know it's not that simple for all of us, but at the same time, we have to brush ourselves off and do our best to cope and move forward. So these lyrics really resonated with me, and I love that they're in this song, and I love when bands talk about mental health, especially my third favorite band, All Time Low. On to track number 2, Sleeping In. Sleeping In has a dirty laundry reference in it, which I think is pretty cool from their album Last Young Renegade. The Postmates reference is funny too, since this song regards a couple that is staying in together and not leaving their bed. I feel that the song represents intimacy on a certain level, even if the relationship isn't serious because they're spending quality time together. I also was reading the lyrics on Genius, and I love that there's a reference to Britney Spears, and it came from that All Time Low did a cover of a Britney Spears song in 2015, and also Jack happened to be wearing a Britney hoodie, and Alex just said, yeah, let's throw that in the song. On to track number 3, Getaway Green. Getaway Green is one of my most favorite tracks on this album. It's so catchy, so energetic. You're going to see the theme that I love the catchy, energetic songs on this album. So Getaway Green entails imagery of getting away from our busy lives, entering into a relationship that I classify as blissful, that's an escape from an everyday mundane life. And this is a theme with most All Time Low songs, that life can be kind of mundane and boring, and Alex isn't someone that wants a 9-to-5 type job, and I believe he loves being a musician and having that kind of freedom. I feel like this is a cool song to listen to when you're stressed because the imagery is so peaceful and exciting to think about and envision. Although the lyrics indicate the relationship was short term, Alex mentions there's no regrets. And obviously Alex's vocals are so consistent in this song. Track number 4, Melancholy Kaleidoscope. This song regards how difficult it can be to better yourself, but it is possible with effort, which, yay, mental health, it's very motivating. Yes, it is hard to change and grow as an individual, but we absolutely are capable of it. So thank you, Alex. Thank you, All Time Low. And I appreciate that he mentions trying to listen to music to tune out his bad thoughts. So he's saying music is a coping skill for him, which makes sense, right? All Time Low fans probably feel the same way. On to track 5, Trouble Is. Trouble Is has pretty basic lyrics where they can't get over a girl, mention they'll never be able to say no to her, also feel like that she's a part of him, which makes it more difficult to be able to let her go. I found an interesting point in the lyrics where it was mentioned that he didn't feel good enough for her, and this is such a common feeling for so many people when they're rejected or let on by someone, that it affects their self-esteem, that they feel that they truly weren't good enough for this person. And that's a really sad thought to think about, but at least it's relatable and he's mentioning it. Track 6, this track is named after the album. It's Wake Up Sunshine. Alex is suggesting a girl should live well, doesn't appear to be satisfied with her life because she seems bored, and mentions that she also shit talks people, which we know is a toxic trait. Check out my video on toxic people if you would like. I find this song to be catchy and energetic. I think that it represents the album well as a whole. I like when albums have a track that's the same title as the album. Track 7, Monster. The title appears to represent the woman he can't get away from, looking at her as a monster because of how she's negatively affected his life. He mentions she lies to him and F's up his life. I do like Black Bear's feature on here. I've never really listened to Black Bear, although his rap kind of reminded me of Tyler Joseph. Obviously 21 Pilots is better and Tyler Joseph is better, just my opinion, but I did kind of get that vibe, and I like how it went together and that they tried out a different style in this song. And I also thought it was interesting that there was a theme of being up at night overthinking, because this is a common aspect for so many people. Night can be a really hard time to shut your brain off enough to be relaxed to fall asleep, and I appreciate that this was mentioned in the song because F yeah, mental health. On to track 8. This is the interlude on the album entitled Pretty Venom. It's a similar theme where a girl is making Alex feel down for how she treats him, and I feel that it's a good transition. I don't really have much to say on this track. It's definitely not one of my favorite tracks, but I still enjoy it. This specific lyric in this song stood out to me. You're everything I love about the things I hate in me. It reminds me of I Hate Everything About You by 3 Days Grace. I just find that funny. And I appreciate that he's talking about how she's his favorite place. One thing I say about my partner is you're my home. And I've heard people say that I feel the most safe when I'm with him. This resonates with me, that he would feel that this individual is his favorite place. It's interesting how he's self-deprecating and saying there's things that he hates about himself, but that he praises in this person. So he acknowledges that some of these things are flaws or toxic traits, but he can't get enough. Track 10, Safe. Safe has imagery of getting away from it all, driving away, and having more time alone, which is similar to other tracks on this album, the imagery of an escape and an adventure. And this is very common with All Time Low's songs and albums as a whole. I did enjoy this song. I found it catchy. On to track 11, January Gloom, Seasons Part 1, because there's January and then we'll get into summer afterward. This song talks about misery and attempting to attribute that feeling to the season, that maybe it has something to do with winter and isn't entirely his feelings or struggles. He talks about how music helps him cope by flipping the script, which we know he previously talked about in another song. I love that he's recommending a coping strategy. This is great. He's asking to be saved. And despite this song being meant to be gloomy and having lyrics where he's expressing how much he is miserable and struggling, it is very upbeat. And I like when songs have sad lyrics but are actually upbeat. I like the contrast of that. Track 12, Clumsy. I don't have much to say about Clumsy. Alex is essentially apologizing to a girl on his behalf and saying he let her down. Yet again, I don't know the context of what is envisioned here. I feel like he puts a lot of pressure on himself in these lyrics, and again, that's relatable for a lot of people going through relationships and love interests. Track 13, I noticed Alex today said this is one of his favorite tracks on the album currently, although that may change. Glitter and Crimson. I found it interesting about the lyric where he says, "You're my four-leaf clover." Not that he stole this from Austin Knight in my favorite water park song, We Need to Talk, but they did tour together and they are friendly with each other. So I did notice that and think that was funny, but I'm sure that's a common lyric. He also says he doesn't want to wait until sunshine fades, which to me seems to allude to seasons prior to the next track, which delves into the next season past winter. We're skipping spring and going into summer. I got tingles listening to this song earlier. I've listened to the album 4 times within the past day to really get a feel for it, and because it's awesome. On to track 14, Summer Days, Seasons Part 2. Even when you're gone, it's like I heard my favorite song and I never have to wonder. He's really putting this individual that he cared for romantically up on a pedestal. She was like his favorite song. It sounds like she was his muse. I like that seasons are changing on the album, and it's a cool theme because January Gloom definitely has those winter vibes to the song, whereas Summer Days truly does have those summer vibes because it's an energetic song, and even the guitars make me kind of pumped up for summer. This song will be so cool cool if they play it at Sad Summerfest, which please don't be canceled. That would be awesome. On to the final track, and then I'll give you my thoughts at the end. So Basement Noise. Although this song entails simplistic lyrics where they're just saying we're stupid boys making basement noise, I'm guessing they're alluding to when they were practicing for the band in their basement. And it's cool to see how far they've come since then. I think it is a good closer, although it's not as strong as their other songs, but again, I don't dislike a single song in this, and I'm biased because All Time Low is one of my favorite bands, although I didn't like Last Year in Renegade. Instead of this ending being super angsty, I feel like they're reflecting on their past as a band and how far they have come. I feel this album shows how much they have matured compared to the Nothing Personal era, although that is one of my favorite albums of all time. It is very angsty compared to this album. A common theme in this album, as I've previously mentioned, is there's a drive for escape and adventure, as well as generally feeling content and happy. I feel it makes the album really relatable and exciting for so many people, myself included, because we're all struggling right now, right? I would assume almost everyone is struggling right now, and we all have struggles throughout our lives. So being able to connect to music and cope with music is a saving grace. It's really just an incredible hobby and coping skill to have, to dive into music and have an emotional connection to it and relate to the artist. Final thoughts on this album. I freaking love it. I'm not giving it a rating because I'm inexperienced. I love the energy. I love Alex's vocals. I love when he goes into kind of a lower register and then goes up higher and does a mix. It just flows really well. I would never assume his vocals were not going to be one of the stronger aspects of the album, because obviously he's one of my favorite vocalists. All Time Low did really well with this album. I think fans are going to be pleased with this album. John from ARTV enjoyed this album, which made me happy, although I have not watched his full review because I usually just go, yeah, he's right, and agree with him. I wanted to have my own opinion. That's all I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching. Please give this video a like, and I look forward to doing more album reviews in the future. I'd love for you to subscribe to my channel as well. Please leave a comment down below letting me know what you think about this album if you've checked it out. My Instagram is Julie_counseling. My Twitter is JulieCounseling with no underscore. My Facebook page will be linked down below as well. And I'll catch you on the flip side. Bye guys.